Hey everybody, welcome back to Comeback vs. Debut. I'm Montblanc, a Gen 2 K-pop veteran who's been out of the loop for over a decade. In my journey to get to know the modern scene, I started a series where I check out the latest and also first music videos from modern K-pop artists that I'm trying to get to know. Today, that group is ENHYPEN. This comeback was announced so long ago, and honestly I've been really curious about the group since before even the launch of this channel. Because of that, it feels like I've been waiting forever for this one. But today, we're finally checking out Bloody Paradise and Given Taken. Before we hop in, if you're interested in extended and exclusive reactions, access to blocked videos, monthly favorites, and retrospectives, be sure to check out my Patreon linked in the pinned comment below. And with that out of the way, let's see what ENHYPEN has in store for us. I was doing the usual thing to see what company ENHYPEN was with, and of course, HYBE is listed as their main. I don't know how to explain the situation there, but anyway, it looks like they're in one of the companies that is now HYBE, and originally this company also was a joint venture between HYBE and CJN, and I was actually really curious about that because back in Gen 2, there were like some sleeper hits from CJN like T-ara. Of course, the label was different at that time and it got really confusing because there were so many different name changes, but the connections that afforded T-ara back in the day definitely allowed them to have kind of like an outsized impact as compared to their competition with the big three. I don't know how I feel about them working with HYBE, because it definitely does seem like sort of an unfair advantage, but I guess big three versus like regular companies is like an unfair advantage as well. I don't know, the whole thing is kind of complicated, and the fact that there's so many subsidiary and like shell companies involved is just like head scratching for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into Bloody Paradise. It's only 2 minutes and 14 seconds long, which I guess is kind of like a hallmark of HYBE right now, but it's not my favorite thing to have a 2-minute song. Let's see it. Number one, the set is super cool. This like not dilapidated, but like reclaimed. Let's use reclaimed. Like nature has reclaimed this prison. Very cool setting for a music video, and I like the way that their like red jumpsuits stand out against the like natural like planty background. If you know the reference, it kind of gives me like Poison Ivy from Batman and Robin. Anyway, musically, this is a really interesting direction that I think that HYBE is kind of pushing into. I'm saying this because I also kind of saw this replicated with Celebrate and also Boompala with Le Seraphim. And I have to say that it's really fascinating to me that we're kind of getting round two or like another era of electronic music influences. And in so many different ways, I can see that Gen 5 is kind of like drawing on inspirations from Gen 2. But there's also like this cultural piece of it too, where like even in electronic music, you're seeing a lot of throwbacks as well. There's sort of like a nostalgia and a reimagining of the older era when it comes to electronic music in general. And I can feel that there are certain strands of K-pop that are definitely drawing on it pretty heavily. So I'm all for it. Honestly, I really, really am. I like the music production in this so far, and I'm curious to see where they'll go with the second half of the song. Wow. Very cool dance. Okay, very, very cool ending there. As it continued on there, it feels like electronic cumbia. Also, I have to say, I really love this trend of, I'm assuming that they're filming somewhere in South America. It just kind of like looked like the vibe. It doesn't look like the Caribbean though. I would have to like go, where is the street at? Let's see what the sign said. Actually, you know what? If you know where this was filmed, I'm always really super curious to know, especially when there's like larger when there's larger trends in K-pop. There definitely seems to be a push right now to be filming or to like reference South America and various different cultures there within, which I think is so smart from the standpoint of artists who want to connect with fan bases, because South America historically, especially if you're engaging with like Western media, is very overlooked as a market, and it really should not be. Number one, like there's a huge population, huge amount of population there, and also they have such, it's not even rabid fan base, it's just they love music, they love artists that create, and speaking to them or like making things that involve them in some way is not only like very smart from a monetary perspective, but I think that as an artist, if you're trying to connect with fans, there's really no better way that you could do it on a global scale. I have to say, I really do like the color grading in this music video. It's something that I talk about a lot because I have seen so many different trends with that come and go in K-pop. And this sort of like modern, cool down, this one still has quite a lot of warmth to it, but it's like the contrast is pulled back, which is really cool. Also, I really love this sort of like dark, shadowy, like here you can see playing with the shadows on the wall, but then also there's like this vignette quality that's basically just like used or like made with spotlights, which I think is really, really cool, especially in conjunction to those scenes when it opens up here with the much softer light. Wow. Okay, the fashion is very cool. These dudes have like great ability to dance. I think they habit their work really well. I'm curious to see what the debut looks like, because also I guess I'm kind of curious, like this doesn't seem high B in general. It definitely has its own character. Like I said, it's kind of following in other trends that other hype artists are following as well, but I know that it's a big company and there's a lot going on. So yeah, this dance was so freaking cool. The footwork, and wow. Look at these colors. That's so cool. Okay, let's check out Give and Taken. Yeah, I definitely want to see what the genesis of a group like this looks like, because they seem very mature, but they only debuted like 5 years ago. Okay, so it looks like this is Give and Taken. It came out November 30th of 2020. So, I guess this is like sort of the genesis of Gen 4, right? Because Treasure was around then, Espa was around then. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's see. He's got a beautiful voice. Sure. Okay. This is very much reminding me of Infinite back in the day. It's like a showcase of a group that you know has a lot of dancing talent. And I have to say, based off of everything else that I've seen coming out of 2020, and especially this sort of like, let's say, second wave of COVID in the US, but basically I'm talking about the end of summer in 2020. This stands out because it's like slower and more restrained. This is definitely a very like classic model to have a boy group debut. Slower, like more R&B influences. I feel like so much of what I have seen in terms of boy groups and their debuts like lately on this channel has been high energy, like let's push really hard, like let's have hard rapping X, Y, and Z, which is great if that's the direction that you're going to take your group further into. But I have to say that this is refreshing in the way that it is going, like I said, a more classic route when it comes to a boy group debut. Nice. I'm intrigued. I also really like this sort of untied bolero sort of bow tie situation that they have going on. It's a really cool fashion inspiration, makes it seem classic in a way, and also those like matador styled suits that they have are very, very cool. Oh, look how young he is! Wow. Wow. Okay, before they start this outro, actually, first of all, I have to say I really love the little hand sign things that is a part of modern K-pop now. I think it's really cool. It also kind of reminds me of like VTuber Oshi marks. It's really cute. It's a nice way to like visually brand a group and also like have some sort of inside thing with their fans. So, okay, I'm notoriously bad with lyrics, but the things that sort of sunk into my brain and like kind of sunk in was that the concept is like vampire. That's what I that's what I got from this. Which actually, if that's the case, then I really like the timeless element of the styling and the fashion in this. I think it's a really smart direction for them to have chosen. Also, the sepia tone reads out of time, like just inherently. So that's a really smart decision on their part for this debut as well. And it really does stand out musically. And also, I'm such a big sucker for like storyline and story elements in music videos. This is really, really great. It's a great showcase of their skills so far as dancing and vocals go. And I'm glad that it's not just like a simple like vignette, let's show off our members kind of debut, because I think this is so much more interesting. See, it's giving like all boys school, don't you think? Dormitory. Wow. Way to go. Way to go, Montblanc. That's freaking sick. I did it. With all of the like blaringly obvious references, and especially in terms of the lyrics. Okay, so solid reference. I am curious if you want to share with me down in the comments below maybe what some of the deeper layers of meaning are in this work. I do really like it, actually. I think it stands out really nicely, and in terms of a pairing, I think it provides a nice contrast to Bloody Paradise because stylistically it's very different, but then also this is showing quite a lot of diversity. And at times, I have been confused at directions that artists have taken in their career. And yeah, I don't know. It's not like necessarily this is point A to point B in a linear fashion. I'm sure that they've taken a lot of different side routes to get to where they are now, but I can see the development of their skills as artists. And I think that's incredibly important when it comes to K-pop groups, because there are so many different skills that they're polishing. I can tell that these guys have worked really hard to do that for themselves. Okay, also there's this nice trend in modern K-pop of groups being involved themselves in the production and songwriting and so on and so forth. So if you have some insight as far as like how involved they were with their genesis point here with Give and Taken, and then also how involved they are now and whether or not that's changed, I'd be very grateful to have that bit of information. They just seem so young here. So I do feel like this was probably like a company idea, but you never know. Whoever their choreographer is like really taking care of them well. Very nice. Very nice. Why, yes, I think I do have a great impression of ENHYPEN and ENHYPEN. I was just thinking hype and ENHYPEN. ENHYPEN. Stupid. Okay, anyway, I have a great impression from these two for sure, and I definitely want to see more. Actually, I have to say I'm a little bit more curious about their beginning point with Give and Taken and all of the other work that was coming out around that, just because I feel like it stands out so much in contrast with the other stuff that I've seen from 2020, and especially the debuts that were happening around there. So it would be interesting to see if they kind of kept that like off the beaten path track record with their career in general, somehow, despite like where we are with the modern hype landscape, I have only seen from them that they have artists who are kind of going in their own direction. Which, you know, given their association with BTS and the like direction and trajectory that those guys took, it does make sense. But this is also like a joint project with CJN, and like they had like the reins tightened all the way on T-ara. So yeah, I'd be curious to see how that might have changed over time. I feel like there's definitely a lot more interest in allowing artists to have their say and to have non-traditional paths when it comes to K-pop careers, just because for a long time now there's been the quote-unquote cookie cutter mold that K-pop artists would take, and like the classic career trajectory looks like X, Y, and Z, and then these members are on this show and blah 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 blah, and that was largely kind of solidified or cemented by the big three. So when artists like BTS, or now specifically I'm thinking ATEEZ, have a route that is not that, from my perspective, it's really opened up a lot of different doors, and there's a lot more acceptance, at least within the international fan community, of career trajectories that don't look the same. And somehow I feel like ENHYPEN definitely falls into that category. So I would love to know your thoughts on all of this. Yeah, and then specifically, if you have some ideas or some suggestions of things from that initial era that you think kind of really speak to them as artists, or like even the career trajectory that you saw them take after that point, I would love to know that down in the comments section down below. And as for now, I think that's it. I am going to put this into my ENHYPEN playlist so that next time I do an ENHYPEN reaction, you'll be able to find everything packaged nice and easily together. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me on this one, and I hopefully will see you in the next ENHYPEN one. And if not, I will see you somewhere else. Bye.